Corey with Hardcore Gamer here with our Madden 26 producer, Rocky, who we sat through a presentation today, and there is quite a few changes with the broadcast and the overall production of what you're going to see in Madden this year. First question I have is, I was basically the only one in the presentation to kind of lose it, and you kind of, I hit this false hope because there was a little bit of suspense you guys put there about changing the halftime show, which is with Scott Hansen. Man, we got video highlights from other teams, not just we're conjuring the old here for something that people have wanted and clamored for years and years, and Madden finally got it, and I about cried. Anyways, can you explain like how these highlights are going to be generated and kind of like the back end of how this works?
Got it. So the back end, I would have to defer to our engineers. I was asked a similar question earlier today because the level of complexity is the most complex feature I've ever been a part of. And I would say that it's interesting that you don't really see this sort of feature in other sports games right now. And as I've been working on it, I think I understand why, because it is very complex. There's a lot to it. But the engineers that we have involved on it, just super smart, super bright, really making great things happen for us. And so I'm very much excited about that. What I can speak to is when we're looking at what highlights we're pulling in from other games, we're looking at sim data. So if in another game, a quarterback had a rushing touchdown, it's a rushing touchdown that we're going to show. Quarterback threw an interception, it's an interception that we're going to show. So it's not just made up to be something visual to look at, it's actually something based on the sim data of what actually happened in those other games. So when we're recreating it, we are bringing that world around you to life.
So I would say like current gen hardware allows us to go deeper than I'd say like 5 canned plays to show kind of what elephant in the room, NFL 2K5 was where this got big. But at that time, it was way ahead of its time. And actually, if you had to have a hard drive on your console, which basically was Xbox, for it even to show video. I remember I had the PS2, but I didn't have a hard drive, and then people were like, well, you can get video highlights. What are you talking about? And I worked at GameStop, and they're like, get on Xbox, dude. And I did, and I was like, yeah, this is a better version. But it was something, but it is also something that people latched onto forever because nobody else had done it. But maybe that's because hardware to do it right has never really been there until where we're at now.
I mean, I definitely think that plays into it. And if every, subsequent console generation, there's just more things, more opportunities for us to expand on the features and what it is that we want to deliver to players. And so, yes, that absolutely is a part of it. There was this kind of confluence of an opportunity with what it is that we wanted to deliver for Madden 26. As you saw, we wanted to go really big with franchise. And obviously, for 2 decades now, when it came to franchise, people have been wanting to see highlights from other games more than just the stats, which are valuable, but to actually bring, as I said, some sights to those stats.
The biggest thing for me is it's an immersion factor, and I've talked about it even when I've reviewed the game, and that's all sports games, is we want a sense of the season we're in. I just don't want to hit check boxes and go through the season. We want to be part of the story. And I'll get to bringing drama back here in a minute to the game, but what did it take to actually get this back, like get this into the game? Like what steps were taken? How long has this been in the decision process?
So I'll give you a little bit of inside baseball here. So every year at the start of Madden and what we call pre-production, we're going to go through the creative process. What are the features that we want to go after? And of course, as someone who works in presentation, you run from pre-game to post-game. What are the things that we want to attack? And of course, halftime was one of those things that we would always bring up every single year. And in a way, you could blame me that the halftime hasn't been updated in previous years because we weren't in a position to do something that would move it to where it is now. So in previous years, if it was, well, let's just update the halftime, maybe change the voice, it's going to be basically the same thing but with a different look. No, because the first thing people are going to do is point back to, as you mentioned, NFL 2K5. And that to me felt like not the best investment. I wanted to know if we are going to jump into halftime, we have to take it to something that not only meets and exceeds that. So for example, by being able to see your friends' highlights appear in your halftime show, your friends' highlights appear in your weekly recap.
Now go over that a little bit. How's the friends recap work? Oh, and also there's a weekly recap that I was advised to after. So we don't have the halftime shows. There's a weekly wrap-up show. Are there highlights tied in with that weekly wrap-up show as well?
Correct. Yeah. So with the weekly recap, the ability is there to see CPU highlights, to see friend highlights if they're in your connected franchise, and then to see your own highlights as well that you performed. And Scott Hansen will be providing the BO for all of those.
So in other words, if you're in a group franchise of multiple people, week to week, even at halftime, whatever plays that are scored from your friends in that league will pop up in your halftime. Like, that's more than I think most people were expecting when it came to this. So this is mainly just franchise. Is there still gonna be like a highlights package kind of at halftime for just your own game during like a play now session or online session?
Gotcha. So in play now, there still will be a halftime. Now, obviously, when it's not a franchise game, you don't have like highlights around the world to pull into it or anything. But you're still going to have Scott Hansen there. We're still going to break down the first half of that matchup and do it in a way that looks different and sounds different than what it's been in the past.
So moving on to the broadcast production, Madden NFL 26 will have four, like the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair. Four.
There you go.
They're gonna have the Arn Anderson, the Tolley, 4 different broadcast presentations. So last year, the book kind of opened up. You guys had expanded on commentary, and actually last year there was kind of an update to differentiating like a night game versus a day game. Kind of what went into expanding this, and was there an influence from a certain broadcast that ties into each one?
Yeah, I would say there was actually, we didn't really want to, when we were working on this, we didn't go, how close can we make this to X? Mm-hmm. It was completely opposite. It was, we are football. Madden has its own place in pop culture, has its own phenomenon. We want to do our own thing. We want to put our stamp on the NFL lexicon of sights and sounds. And we did that by creating our own 4 broadcast packages that we're proud to say are Maddens. From the Madden package, Thursday night primetime, Sunday night primetime, Monday night primetime. And the level of effort that went into it, a lot of people required in making this happen. It's not just about the sights, it's also about the sounds. Each primetime package has its own theme song. And we got down to the levels of detail. We're making sure the fonts are different between the broadcast packages, the way that banners animate in, animate out. So many little things for us to consider that in the aggregate make for a powerful broadcast package experience that we're very proud of because the details are the magic.
Will we see any more like score overlays or cuts during gameplay? As opposed to like last year, we're going to get like an increase of like that. Part of what this does is help tell the story to me. Are we going to see like more breakaways or more type, score overlays that pop up in between gameplay?
There are different types that are coming, not as many as what we added last year. This year, because we were going after the broadcast packages, it's one thing to say we have a single broadcast package, here's all the elements that we want to add. When you say there's 4 different broadcast packages, now there's 4 different variations you have to create of each of those assets. So there are more, and they are distinct to each other. And it's the sort of thing that, like I mentioned during the presentation today, if you're that hardcore franchise player that loves to just grind out multiple seasons, it really helps to change up that game-to-game experience.
So everything is like you don't get like tunnel vision, so it really helps to break that up.
For sure.
This will be the last question.
Yeah, I was going to say this last question. But you seem like an OG, and this feels more like a traditional football experience. Where did the inspiration come from to kind of migrate Madden back towards a more dramatic broadcast, as when it was, say, 5 years ago, when it was just almost more pop culture and was more upbeat, but now it feels more like something gritty that we would have saw like the 2008, the Madden 08 intro, What was kind of the inspiration of going back towards a more dramatic feel for the NFL?
Our fans, our players. We listen to the fans. We're fans of the game ourselves. We follow along with what people are saying, and we match that with what it is that we want to bring with our specialties as producers, designers, engineers, artists, animators, etc. Those things merged into something today that when I was looking across the audience, I could see was resonating, and it reaffirmed for me that we're going after not just the right feature set, but the right tone, like you mentioned, to our approach, and it's something I'm proud of.
All right, and this is Rocky, producer for Madden NFL 26, which releases on August...
Ooh, got me.
Oh, I gotta look it up.
13th, maybe. It's August. It's preseason. Anyways, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Corey. Thank you.
Fantastic.